Hi, hello, and welcome to the Merc Astro Pod, where we make astrology more accessible to the general public. My name is Rosalie. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a professional occultist, body piercer, and astrologer. And I have a Virgo Sun and Mercury with a rising in Aquarius and a Sun in Sagittarius.
I love that. And my name is Bren. I also use they, them pronouns, and I'm a professional astrologer, card reader, and pole dance instructor. And my sun is in Pisces, my moon is in Aries, my rising is in Aries, and my Mercury is in Aquarius.
Oh yeah, love to see it.
Yes.
So today we're actually doing it a little bit differently. So we normally take what we talk and discuss about during the Denver Astrology Group meetups and kind of recap that information here for you all. But this month we're doing it prior to the meetup. Just because Valentine's Day is around the corner and things like that. So,
and speaking of Valentine's Day, the topic for today is the astrology of love. Love. So we're going to be talking about topics such as Venus and the moon and astrology signs within those.
And the houses and which they represent.
And so how you can use your own birth chart to inform more of how you can understand the way that you love and want to receive love, and also maybe like other people and how, you know, your friends want to receive and give love.
No, 100%. As well as just self-love in general in aspects, platonic love we'll talk about. We'll get all the aspects of it. We will focus primarily on Venus to start off with, though. So we'll hit not only on the signs that Venus is rule over and prioritizing, like Libra and Taurus, but also Pisces as Venus's exaltation. But we'll get into that.
For sure. Well, and Venus is the planet that symbolizes love, money, all of the good things in life. So that's why we really like to focus on her for love. And as you were saying earlier, Venus does rule the zodiac signs of Taurus and Libra. And would you like to share with the class today on why Pisces?
So it's not really like the Babylonians were just like, hey, Venus belongs in Pisces. Like that's the domicile assignment. And the Egyptians and the Greeks were like, nah, just its exaltation. But that's because the Babylonians were like, hey, unconditional love. Why wouldn't we want that to be expansively endlessly expansive in Pisces nature? In that Pisces kind of dreamy reality. And there's some like downsides and some faults to it. I kind of agree with the Babylonians. I think an exalted Venus is way better than a Venus in domicile as a natal Venus in domicile holder myself.
Well, I would argue, though, that sometimes unconditional love and such a boundless love could actually cause issues. So if you do love so deeply like a Pisces, like maybe that would set you up for martyrdom or, settling or,
100%,
other
100%.
issues. So.
I get that in regards, but like when you're talking about just Venus in general and like getting the natal person away from it and just focusing on the planet and just focusing on the sign, I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But also in reality, it doesn't really like play that much. So I feel like the Greeks got it right with the domicile assignment and essential dignity as we know it today. But.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so other houses that we would look at to like within the birth chart to identify and uncover more about how we experience love, we would want to look at the second house. That's our house of values, self-respect, self-worth, things like that.
But also things that you prioritize too. Yeah. So it's like if you, for example, are a vegetarian and you're very starkly vegetarian and you're like, I don't really want to like be around preparing of meat. That's not really like my forte. It just kind of grosses me out. I'm just not vibe for it. And if I as a partner was like hawking up fresh fucking steak every night, you wouldn't be the most attracted to that kind of dynamic.
Absolutely.
Obviously there's different. And then obviously the person me like hawking up steak be like, oh, I want a carnivore as a partner. I don't know.
Right.
Weird niche example.
Exactly. And also the second house can signify like what our values are. So like if we don't have that self-respect for ourselves, though, you might settle for someone who might disgust you in certain ways just because you're like, well, everything else I guess is fine or whatever, even though this particular thing kind of disgusts me or is literally against my values, you might settle for that anyway.
No, 100%. But on top of the second house, we're also going to look at the seventh house.
We love the seventh house of partnerships. So this can be literally a marriage partner. It could also be a business partner, a friendship, also open enemies. But
I would say just any one-on-one connection.
Exactly. Clients, for sure.
Somebody that you have like a repertoire with, not just somebody that you bump into once and then never see again, but somebody that you're like, you have an established connection and relationship with, like a regular, if it's like a client kind of thing, it would definitely be like a kind of relationship like that.
For sure. Yeah.
But then on top of that, we also have the 11th house of our community, of our friends, of our greater hopes or aspirations or desires in life. So we have like societal influences over like, is that relationship good or not, that we can always look at too. Because I always feel like there's usually 5 or 6 people in your life that that are probably should not be in the relationship that they're in right now,
Definitely.
And it's way easier to see from an outward perspective than when you're in the thick of it like that,
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, you could look at a bunch of other houses too. We just wanted to focus on those ones specifically because, well, yeah, we won't get into all of that stuff, but those are just certain areas of life you could look into. You could also look at third house, like people you want to spend time with on a day-to-day basis or, relationships, whatever.
Well, whatever, house Venus is in is obviously going to be influenced to love. But then something that Demetra George spoke about once that I've always used in like synastry and relationship readings and stuff is like with the houses, if your like ascendant sign is in Leo, your 7th house is Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is not only your 7th house ruled by Saturn. Saturn also rules over your 8th house in Capricorn, or your 6th house in Capricorn. Yes. There we go. I went the opposite way there. It's the other way for Cancer risings with Capricorn in the 7th and then Aquarius in the 8th. Yeah, there we go. So that's how that works. But you'll always kind of have like with those examples, the 7th house will be tied into 8th house matters or 6th house matters. If you have like a Pisces or a Sagittarius rising, you would have either Gemini or Virgo in the 7th house. And then therefore the other Mercurial ruled sign would be either in the 10th or the 4th house. So your 7th house would be either tied into like career matters or tied into like home matters in some sort of way or regard, which we can dive deeper into. But I feel like every house in astrology kind of always plays into itself, but seeing like ruling planet wise. So like specifically with Venus, Taurus and Libra are always going to be tethered together.
Yeah.
Because they're ruled by the same sign. So wherever Taurus and Libra are in your chart, regardless if your Venus is there or not, or if your moon is there or not, it's still going to be those 2 houses in your life.
Interlinked in some sort of way.
So those 2 areas of your life are going to have some pull into like Venusian concepts and ideas.
Yeah.
Potentially love.
Definitely.
And then we'll also, talk about the moon as like a nurturement aspect.
Yeah, the moon is really important in connection with people because that's how you're going to feel emotionally fulfilled. That's how we express, our emotional needs and things like that, even things that are subconscious to us and how we're just playing that out in some area of our life. So just looking at the moon and Venus specifically within your chart and how they might be interacting with other parts of your chart might indicate more of a deeper meaning to how you're expressing love and nurturing and wanting to receive that as well.
And then if we have time for it, I'm going to go on a niche tangent about some asteroids, specifically Eros and Psyche and Orpheus and Eurydice, because those are 2 like very well-known Greek like lover myths. Potentially also a little bit of Juno, but that's more of like commitment based than like anything.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, I thought I was gonna be able to do it.
There we go. All right, we've got our iPad here. So if you are watching the video version of the podcast, you're welcome to look at the screen now. We have a lovely slide that's talking about the rulership of Venus. And so each planet has different zodiac signs that rule it. So for Venus, as we were saying earlier, it is going to be Libra and Taurus. And then the exaltation, a planet or a sign that Venus really loves being in, that's Pisces. What it doesn't like is the opposite of Pisces, which is Virgo. And so that's going to be in its in its fall, my apologies. And then did I say, then the detriment, that's going to be the opposite of Libra or
Taurus and Libra.
It's the opposite of Taurus and Libra, which is going to be Aries and Scorpio.
So a great analogy for anybody who is unfamiliar with the concept of essential dignities is you in your own house. You're really comfy in your own house. You know where all your shit is. It's you in your own space with your own things. That's a planet in its domicile. So that is Venus in either Libra or Taurus. That is Mars in Aries or Scorpio. That is the sun in Leo. When a planet is in its exaltation, that is you in your dream house. That is you in the cabin in the woods, secluded from everybody else, with your nice little plants everywhere and your 8 cats,
If that's what you desire. If that doesn't sound like...
That's my dream home. I was just projecting. But that planet is in its dream home. It's where it wants to be, where it's able to act its fullest. So you're able to do what you do best when you're in your own environment pretty well. You're able to excel if you have every tool to your disposal. Like if I had a quiet little like reading room or like a study nook, I'd probably be way more productive. Not gonna lie. Because I was when I had those things readily available to me in my life. But anyway, point is, a planet in its detriment or its fall is kind of the opposite of that. So detriment is like you in your enemy's house. Like you know you're uncomfortable. You know you're like, oh, I hate this, but you at least know where you're at in like some regards, in some sort of way. It's like, I am really uncomfortable here. I don't like this person. I don't like this person's house. I hate the way they decorated in here. Why does all the food taste like salt? Like
the vibes are just off.
Yeah, it's just not fun. You're not able to be the best version of yourself when you're put in those super uncomfy or oppressive environments. And the detriment is much more oppressive. It's much more like you're not allowed to do anything. Like everybody's ridiculing you at your enemy's house. Like you're not able to like be yourself at all or do anything to help you. You're like trapped. It's like one of those bad nightmares.
And will you also please explain like what the difference between fall
detriment and fall? Getting there. So fall is less intense. It's just you're like a motel. It's like not bad. It's like
well, instead of like an analogy, like what's the actual like what like you were talking earlier about like the placement within the chart of why it's like it's at an angle or something. Why, you know what I mean?
No.
So why would
angularity has nothing to do with essential dignity?
We were talking about that with Virgo. Oh, we were talking. Never mind.
That was just about Virgo and Venus in general.
Oh,
and just how it can express itself in different forms.
It's still shining Taurus.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that Virgo likes being or Venus likes being in Virgo. It is your shopaholic blonde bimbo in a library. That's Venus in Virgo.
But some shopaholic blonde bimbos.
She can have a great time color coding those books for in-season colors, but you know what? It's nothing to do with the books. It's nothing to do with the literacy.
Sure.
They can still like, and I'm not trying to like stereotype here in any regards, mean, shape, or form, but that's just like how I see Virgo and Venus. It's just you can't really, because it's Venus wants to love so much and Virgo wants to help so much. So when you have Venus and Virgo, it is this deep-seated need to be everything for somebody else. And in doing that, you give up so much of yourself. You lose so much of yourself, but you're so easily manipulated too. I see this with a lot of like my Virgo rising friends who have Pisces in the 7th. I will always relate to them having wet rat partners of emotional distress that they are trying to like save. They're trying to have like a little passion project to fix.
So Virgos love a project.
Exactly. So when Venus is in there, it's like the project is loving and they always see love as the next project that they can take on to like give themselves fully to and kind of get used in the process. Obviously, this is very distinctive to where that Virgo is placed in the chart and like how it's able to affect things in the chart and like how detrimented it is.
Yeah.
But
Virgo is also very detail oriented, very nitpicky, can also like what I've noticed in certain Virgo Venus placements, they can want to help so badly that they nitpick at their partner or they nitpick at whatever area of life that Venus is taking place in, so it's not even enjoyable. Venus is about like relaxing, enjoying, and Virgo doesn't really allow it because it's like, well, this could be better, or this
because they see their form of nitpicking as caring, as love.
So
they're like, I want the best for you, I care about you so much, I want your tie to be perfectly like tied, and then you're like, oh well, I'm choking, so thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the falls then. So Aries and Scorpio within, and we'll
those are these.
Oh, my apologies.
Detriment is worse, and then fall is like less so. So fall is like you're just depressed. It's like you're not able to do the best that you can do. You're just at like a mediocre place. You don't have the tools to your availability. Where detriment is like
dun 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 detriment.
Not really. It's just you has your dream house, you have your nightmare house too.
Yeah.
But each planet will have their own affiliation with the signs due to this domicile exaltation. Well, it's called essential dignities scheme in astrology.
Yeah. So now that we know those, we can actually start talking about each of the Venus signs and how they express themselves within each different zodiac sign. And we can get deeper into, how Venus might express herself within these different signs. So what's that?
I said 100%.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to start with Aries in Venus, or Venus in Aries, I should say, which again is in detriment there because Aries is ruled by Mars, which is literally the opposite of Venus. So Mars is about aggression, direct motion, things like that. Whereas Venus is like, again, let's chill, enjoy, things like that. So it's kind of like having
the passive versus active, positive versus negative. These are quite literally the two opposites in astrology.
Exactly. And as someone with an Aries Venus, I definitely can relate to this. And it is in my first house. So like, I experience love very impulsively, like the spark, when the spark is there, like you want to go for it and you want to chase and you want to like just go after it. Whereas, Venus naturally maybe wants to attract more than like go after things. So it's just kind of like this uncomfortable energy for sure. But just as much as the spark can light, it can also go out.
Aries burnout, baby.
Yeah. So
I also feel like Venus has a sweet spot here where your Venus is not. So I am going to speak on it outside of your behalf.
Sure.
The last 10 degrees of Aries is beautiful charisma. It is a rose on fire. It is fleeting beauty. It is just sexual charisma to its fullest. It is like that kind of like Venus and Aries energy that like, it's that passion, that energy, that drive, but it gets caught. It turns into a like Moulin Rouge lover story kind of jazz. Like that's very like Venus in that last 10 degrees, which is just from 20 degrees of Aries until 29 degrees, 59 minutes and 59 seconds of the sign of Aries. Venus will just have face or have a Decan rulership over that part of Aries, where it's able to kind of just see itself in the chaos of the mirror. So it's like, oh, everything's on fire. I'm going to make it aesthetic. I'm going to make it pretty.
Yeah.
Everything's go, 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 go. And we're all like pushing for this fucking shit. I'm going to make it a beautiful flow.
Yeah.
While we go.
I love that. Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to say
Nope,
about
that was it. Sorry.
Aries Venus? No, yeah. And just a few other keywords is like impulsive, independent, and intense. And again, like when we're talking about independence, like when you're talking about love, it's not really an independent thing. If you want to share it, self-love is one thing, but yeah.
Well, I feel like Venus in Aries is really good at being like, this is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. But then also there's frustration when you don't get that. It's like, oh, well, I have to compromise. Like
that's where that kind of like selfishness is kind of like pull and trade. I don't think that they're like super selfish lovers in general. I just feel like sometimes their needs are what is all that they can see at certain times. Not that that's necessarily bad, and everybody has their own like working on it, but I'm sure that that's something that you probably have like struggled with before, to be like, oh, I forget that I have to like care about this other person too.
Definitely. Well, and Aries, like how I think of Aries sometimes is like the hero on its journey, not saying that all Aries are heroes or whatever, but that's kind of sometimes how Aries see life. It's like, I'm the hero, who am I going to save? So also like going after people and again chasing people who might not even be interested in them or aren't good for them, and also wanting to save people. It kind of reminds me a little bit about that Virgo Venus in a different way. But
I feel like that's just your Pisces planets coming out.
Maybe that's true. That could definitely be true. But yeah,
let's move on to Venus in its domicile. So Venus and Taurus, I love this planet or placement personally. So I have a friend who has their Venus combust in Taurus, but oh my fucking God, is he the most Venus and Taurus person ever. He will never get gas station sushi ever again in his life because he's eaten at a hibachi grill. Like, he's one of those people that will never settle unless he can get like if he's gonna get sushi, he's gonna get the super nice sushi. He's just not gonna get sushi that frequently. He's gonna save that as like a nice little sweet treat that he can like save for himself almost as like a reward rather than like indulging in it all the time because it's there and accessible. He'd rather have like the really nice stuff, like kind of just, but he's like that with everything. All of his opinions are like that.
Luxury, would you say like?
Not really, because like he doesn't have like super luxurious apartment or anything. He's like a normal dude, like living a normal life.
Is that Venus in?
It's all in his ninth house.
Ninth house, okay.
But he is the kind of person that just has very high standards. Like when it comes to nobody would appreciate me listing Ramsey's little list of qualifications that he needs for a woman, because it's fucking disgusting. Men are gross.
They
Men
can
are
be.
so gross.
They're not all one
It's
thing.
so high. And I literally asked him, I was like, are you going to hold, what if they hold you to similar standards? And he's like, I'll find somebody else. And I was like, good luck.
Is he
buddy?
single?
Yes. Oh yeah, bud. So I find that with Venus in Taurus, obviously his is combust, so it's a little bit not able to be its best. It's just too close to the sun, so sometimes the sun can dull or de-amplify amplifications that happen in a chart. So although his Venus is naturally where it's supposed to be, yes, he has really good, well-articulated standards for good reasons. Doesn't mean they're justifiable to use all of the time. My guy, you're a little too stubborn in that regard. And that's where I feel like a lot of that domicile kind of comes out of. It's just like that acceptance of standards being set high, I guess, of like understanding quality to something. Like I feel like a Venus in Taurus understands good quality things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like 100%.
And like earthly things too. Well, and another thing about Taurus, it's an earth sign and it's fixed. So that probably explains the stubbornness that he has of like, oh my gosh, this is like it's either this or nothing.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing kind of vibes. But other keywords for Taurus are steady, sensual, romantic, especially the sensual. I see that a lot. Like they love good cuddles. They love soft things. They love great smelling things, like the food thing. Those are the things that are really important to a Taurus Venus.
I have another Taurus and Venus client, not a friend this time, so I don't know them as well. But they described their Venus placement as, all they really want from a partner is a hug when they get home and a fucking joint in their hand afterwards.
That's cute.
And I was like, that's a comfort. It's a safety thing. That's like 100% what Venus is about when it's in the sign of Taurus.
And one more thing about Taurus Venus is like, would you say to just like, they are more likely to want like a one partner or like someone steady? And like,
I feel like with every fixed sign but Aquarius, I feel like that kind of stays true because they're very like focused. Like Leo is deathly loyal, you know. Actually, maybe not. Maybe just
they're also performing. Yeah, they like
maybe
attention.
Just Leos and Tauruses, because now that I'm thinking about it, Scorpios and Aquariuses are probably the more likely.
Well, not every. It depends on so many other things in the chart too.
Oh, 100%.
Just maybe on a broad scale, Tauruses do like steady, committed, promised, like
honestly for polyamory giveaways. I usually find a really good synastry between Pisces Venus and Taurus, so there's usually some sort of really nice Jupiter
for polyamory.
Jupiter, Venus, and the moon, some sort of really, really nice aspect with those three planets
within a single chart.
Okay, so if you've got like a grand trine of all three of those planets, you're probably the most intuitive, like everything just happens to you with like the best of luck kind of person, or you're fucking multiple people.
Which could be both too.
Sometimes
fulfilling for you.
Usually like Jupiter Venus conjunctions too, with like a moon trine kind of thing, and then I'm like, oh okay, maybe you be like that. It's fine, you know. I don't think humans are designed to be monogamous creatures.
Not all of them anyway. I think some are more
biologically speaking. We're 100% not, but
no, not everyone.
Societally speaking, I don't think we're all inclined.
Sure,
I can see it, but yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to get into the studies.
Let's move on.
Some people are biologically more likely to be monogamous than others.
No, 100%.
So, okay.
Cool. Moving on to Venus in Gemini.
This is actually the reason why I was asking about like polyamory, because I don't know, I see a lot of like Gemini Venuses like to explore more than one partner, but
I feel like that's just Gemini's natural need to explore, to find out, to discover, to seek, to look for things, to uncover, to understand. That's just like innate Gemini.
Yes.
So I feel like most Gemini Venuses are flirtier than others.
It's a social sign. It's air. It's like
I don't know if I like you or not. So like, let's go on 3 to 5 dates. Have you pay for all of them? I just want to see it out, you know. I just want to vibe.
Mutable air. So very much going with the flow. Like, do you feel like with Gemini energy, Venus energy, like it's kind of similar to the Aries energy, and like, oh, it can be on or off, or like
100%.
Yeah.
I feel like that. Well, fire and air are very common in those senses because they're both active or positive signs, if you want to go with that. yang dealing energies in the polarity of astrology. So they have that kind of like flowiness to them that yes, water obviously is flowy, and earth also has like when a breeze goes through a tree, there's a nice little but it's different. It's passive versus active. The wind and the fire are doing the movement. They're creating that movement that we find in like water and or earth. But anyway, I 100% see that similarity between Aries and Gemini. This is also, where we get our first sextile in the zodiac though too.
That's
so we'll
true.
Also see a lot of similarities in those signs just in general.
So with sextiles, like maybe a Gemini Venus would like a Aries Venus, for example, because there's a sextile. So maybe there's some chemistry there. It's a flowing aspect of some kind.
Yeah. I feel like they'd both enjoy a really sporadically good time.
Yes.
Like a very intensely sporadically good time. I feel like that's 100%. In the same regard, I feel like a Venus and Gemini individual is also sometimes too constructed with the idea of relationships to actually impose on the relationships. So there is sometimes a setback of thinking that you're better friends with somebody than you actually are.
Yeah.
Or like you're on better terms with somebody than you actually are. Again, depends on how that Venus is able to aspect other things in the chart. But sometimes, especially with moon in Gemini people particularly, I find it hard for them to like articulate their emotions. So sometimes with Venus, it's like, do I really like this person? Well, I'm so good at just making random conversation about things that I don't care about regardless. So like, do I actually like this person's presence, or am I just catfishing myself almost like in this
intellectualizing yourself
into the relationship? So
well, some other keywords for Gemini Venus are stimulating, communicative, playful, and unserious. And that doesn't mean that a Gemini Venus can't commit or can't be serious within a connection. It's just, those are just general
I feel like you could be in a committed, serious, long-lasting relationship and be a little funny about it.
Yeah, literally.
And just like be a little quirky with your partner. Just be like, silly. Yeah, and like pull pranks on them or like do like small little things. Some people leave notes, other people leave whoopee cushions.
Yeah, for sure.
Tis the way.
All right, let's move on to Cancer or Venus in Cancer.
So yes, Venus in Cancer is very, the moon and Venus have so much in common, both being huge unifying forces about connectivity and about unity and about collectively bringing people towards each other. So when we have Venus in Cancer, it's a lot of that same kind of lunar vibes, but it's more focused on the unity aspect than it is on the nurturement aspect of the moon. So we get more of like a kind of maiden approach to Cancer vibes as opposed to a motherly approach to Cancer vibes with Venus in Cancer. I do find that these individuals are very similar to Aries and Gemini, as we were just talking, very wish-washy with their partners, but in the sense of like their emotions are very big. Their emotions are a lot for them to hold on to and to have. So they will often be very like tied up with past romances that hinder their future romances. So they'll get tied up with multiple partners in the sense that like they'll be seeing somebody or try to get over their ex, but like still be madly in love with their ex kind of situations.
Yeah. I see Cancer Venus also kind of similarly to Pisces Venus, only in the sense of like almost imagining a love that's not entirely fit in reality. It's like they want
hyper-romanticization.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly the term that I was looking for.
No, I live in it.
Yeah, we love that.
We'll get to it when we get to Venus Libra, because I'll give my own 2 cents about it. But still focusing with Cancer in Venus, I still feel like there's a lot of potential with love in these signs because cardinal energy. It's so nurturing. And very similar to a Virgo Venus, we have Venus expressing itself as more of the like, what can I do for you? How can I care for you? What can I like, how can I support you kind of vibe.
Would you say that cardinal signs generally within the Venus, like they like to start and initiate relationships more often? And then the mutable would be like going with the flow more, and then fixed would then be more committed, besides Aquarius and
I guess kind of. So in the sense of like an Aries will like go up to somebody at a club and be like, I think you're hot, give me your number. A Cancer will be like, I subtly left like treats on your desk at work for like 3 weeks with little notes on them as like a secret admirer, and I'm now just, it's like so much like cuter, I feel like.
Yeah.
Whereas Aries
softer.
is like direct. They're both initiating things, but in very different approaches.
Yeah.
Whereas like Libra, for example, would definitely approach things from like a more traditional love sense.
The romancing. Maybe
traditional in the sense of like online dating is how you meet people, kind of jazz.
That's traditional, I guess. In this day and age, it's
traditional,
but it's social as well, which is Libra. It's a social sign. So
I feel like a Libra Venus similar. I feel like all the Air Venuses are just gonna have all the dating apps open at all times, kind of jazz.
Well, and the keywords for no worries. Keywords for Cancer Venus are nurturing, compassionate, empathetic, and protective. Mama bear vibes. So do not mess with a Cancer Venus's partner.
No, for sure.
Or like, and it's not even partners. Again, we're talking about love that's more expansive than just like romantic partners. It could also be like your kids. Like I'm sure a Cancer Venus mom or parent of any kind would
absolutely murder anybody. Just
do not fuck with my kids.
No, this is their partners and the people that they care about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when Venus moves into Leo, we get a slightly more egocentric kind of point of view, but I feel like it's not without the lavish, without the luxury, without the quality, kind of almost like in Taurus land, but it's way more performative than, because like Taurus is like, I'm gonna have this Swiss candle made of baby bees wax imported from, I don't know, I already said that it was some other thing.
Sorry, my water bottle spilled. My bad.
But like there's Taurus will like do that in the comfort of their own home. Whereas like Leo will like post about it on social media.
They want to show off their partner, like their people. Yeah.
Oh, they are so posty about their partners.
Yeah.
So like, look at this, look at this. I have my partner, or I have Leo in the 7th, and I'm even like that. Yeah. And it's not even my Venus placement. It's simply just what my 7th house. I'm always like that. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
What's doing? Also, my friend Silversmith's rings. This is the one. I don't have the other ones on.
Cool.
But you should check out Dusty Desert Silver.
There's that Leo energy. We love it. I love Leo Venuses too. Well, I have an Aries Venus, so I love the fire because it's very warm. Leo is that hearth fire, that steady, loyal fire. So even though they're
ride or die,
they are, and that's something I really appreciate. It's like, you know where you're at with them too. Like if you commit to them, they will commit to you, and that they'll continue feeding that fire. A lot of cheerleader energy, I feel like, from Leo Venus.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Because it's not so much focused on like the Leo. Yes, Venus is a personal planet, and how you love yourself is with that same cheerleader energy. So like, yes, in a regard of Venus in Leo is going to want that same energy given to them in order to support and encourage themselves. But that Leo Venus being so, I don't know, just a cheerleader vibe is the best way to describe it. Yeah. It really just, it beautifully sums it up.
I love that. So some keywords for Leo are performative, generous, genuine, and flashy. Wonderful. So we did talk already about Virgo Venus, which is in fall, but just to go over that a little bit, some of the keywords for that is helpful, serving, modest, practical. But again, that comes with the nitpicky perfectionist kind of perspective that makes Venus not so comfortable in this sign.
And Virgos will always ruin the integrity of things by trying to perfect them.
They won't always. They can. They have that potential. Not everything's.
I speak from personal experience. Other Virgos in the chat, sound off. It's always.
Comment below what your Virgo sign or what your Venus sign is, or what your Virgo placements are, and if this is true for you.
No, yeah, I doubt it actually is like 100% of the time true. But yeah, it's definitely a flaw. And I can see that being very detrimental in love. So it's like you're trying to make everything perfect. You're just trying the best for everything.
Yeah.
And I hate to like use personal examples so closely to myself, but my mother has a Venus in Virgo, and this is 100% how she is.
Yeah.
Like it is very. Also, at the same, she has Mars and Virgo as well, so it's not. They're too far apart to be conjoined, but they're just far enough apart to be like really obnoxious to each other.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like, I did all of these things for you, why don't you love me? And it's like, oh, you can't just create love because you cleaned my room for me as my mother.
You can't give with an expectation.
Yeah. Like, that's not what it is. Not saying that every Venus in Virgo does that, but I do find often selves they do give more freely than a lot of other signs with Venus. And Venus just wants to give so much when it's in Virgo that sometimes it is to the detriment of the individual. They don't really realize it at that time, but they're giving too much of themselves away, or they're giving with false intentions in mind. So the thing that I've learned through all of that and like through therapy, one of the things my therapist actually told me to ask people when I'm receiving gifts is, are you giving this to me out of genuine and true love, or are you giving this to me because you want something out of me? And that is a very awkward question to ask people when they are giving you a gift. But oh my fucking God, has it shown me who my real friends are? 1,000%. To be like, what are you talking about? Of course I love you. Take this. I made it for you. Versus the like, oh, why would you ask the people? It's like a litmus question, you know?
Yeah.
It's the people who get really like upset at you for even insinuating that they would have like an ulterior motive into giving you a gift are the ones that definitely had an ulterior motive into giving you the gift, you know?
Well, I have someone really close to me with a Virgo Venus as well. And I feel like with them, it's really hard to make them fulfilled, like, or fully pleased. They're not fully satisfied. And that can also be a barrier to genuine, intimate connection too.
Yeah, it's like no matter how much you tell them, I do love you, I do care about you, I do want to support you, it's never enough. So
yeah.
Moving on to now Venus and Libra. So
another rulership.
I see this. So where Venus and Taurus is, I know my like quality of things. I feel like Venus in Libra is, I don't care about the quality of things. Does it make me feel good though?
Oh, that's interesting.
You know?
Yeah. So it's more artificial, you would say?
To an extent, with my personal experience, and with like relating to my clients who also have this placement, I get a lot of the same jazz. It's a lot of like impulse spending to make yourself feel happy and to make yourself feel loved and appreciated.
I'm looking at all your crystals. Not that they're all impulse buys, but well, yeah.
The rock make brain go brrr.
Well, it's interesting for you too, because you have Taurus in your 4th house of home. And I see so much like earthy Taurus grounded things in your home. Venus ruled things, and your Venus being in Libra, remember they're connected and paired. Your impulse spending on things is
directly tied to my 9th house too, which is where my Libra placements are, because I love metaphysics. That's where I see it the most. I will be a single hermit for the rest of my life if it means that I get to have my nose within an astrology book for the rest of my life and learning and articulating information and understanding things. Like I'm so content being single if I just am able to focus on like what I want and the things that make me happy, like my Demetra George textbooks, you know. Those are the things that bring me joy. Like the fact that I have an entire shelf of botany textbooks, like yes, I read those for fun randomly. Like I don't garden, but I have gardening books. That's what Claire always asks me for information.
Well, it is useful information to have for sure.
Yeah, but not stuff that I actually articulate.
But I mean, that's interesting too, talking about like information that you're gathering that you can then share with people. That is a very Libra thing, which is like communicating with people. So that is really interesting too, that that's a value that you have, and that's your Venus speaking.
I feel like that's like my way of knowing and understanding astrology too, because like at first I didn't think that I was going to be a consulting astrologer. It really did just start off with,
and that's 9th house matters, right?
It really did just start off with me like shitting around with my friends at co-op because they were reading an astrology book. I remember very vividly. Autumn and Sammy, I'll just use first names for like obviously anonymity purposes. We're just sitting there reading an astrology book, and I was like, oh my fucking God, this is mainstream now. I can like talk about this and nerd out with these people and not get like ostracized and fucking stoned for like, because I hated pop culture astrology at the time, but they were reading, I don't remember who it was, but it wasn't like Liz Green or anybody. But it was a really old like 70s astrologer, like during the counterculture movement, during
Jan
like, the rise.
Spiller?
No, I would have recognized Jan Spiller, trust me. It wasn't like a well, but it was one that I at least like later in my studies would like recognize and like be like, oh, it's like that book.
Cute.
You know? But yeah, I don't know, just personally, it's definitely because it's in my 9th house. It's not just because Venus is in its domicile. It's because Venus is in its domicile in my 9th house that I'm like, oh, I want pretty shiny rocks because I can then use planetary magic with some of these rocks, you know, like I can use planetary associations with these things. Obviously I don't have that much abundant pure gold and or silver, but like, you know, some of these things are really important. And like I'll have iron for Mars still at the end of the day, or like copper for Venus, like as much as I have like fun fancy rocks. But I love having like copper oxide rocks be with my Venus rocks from my Venus altar and be like,
and it's just very beautiful. It's like an aesthetic thing too, which I associate definitely with Venus and with Libra, which we didn't talk about the aesthetics of each of these things, but I guess we can only cover so much.
Yeah, because I feel like Venus in each of the signs does have a very different aesthetic. But I feel like that just ties into Venus doing different things in each of the signs. Yeah. It's an archetype. We can't get
we can't. It. Yeah, we'll cover that another time.
But yeah, do you want to go over keywords?
Yes. So the keywords of Libra Venus is relational, graceful, charming. So their desire for balance with connection is really natural. Yeah, that's the Venus energy.
Yeah, that is one thing that I will say. I'm also single because I don't put up with bullshit. If you don't treat me like an equal, I'm not having it. And like
I feel like that's kind of like Aquarius stuff energy too, though. No,
100%. But like they're in trying to each other, so they're going to be tied to each other.
That's true. Yeah.
But I still feel like because Sam has a Venus in Libra too. And Sam's like this too. When it comes to like equality in a relationship,
right, you're not going to put up with if the scales aren't balanced.
That's really what it is. So like, don't get me wrong. Somebody with their Venus in Libra can still be like the breadwinner to like a trophy husband or a trophy wife kind of situation, or vice versa. But I feel like when it comes to like emotional love desires and like how much love each person is giving, it has to be mutual. I will not be the only person making a little basket of goodies for you, bringing it to you when you're sick. If you are not doing the same thing to me, I don't want it. Immediate ick.
Is that with all of your connections or mostly just romantic?
Mostly just romantic. Because like friends, I can get it. And like, I feel like friends are way easier to get to reciprocate those kinds of things. It's way more difficult to get a partner to reciprocate those things.
Interesting.
Well, a heterosexual partner.
Sure.
A queer partner, not so much.
Okay.
Depending. I have had plenty of queer relationships where my partner is equally as non-reciprocating as like a heteronormative one. And I'm like, okay, cool. The fuck am I doing here?
Yeah. Well, moving forward to Scorpio Venus, which is also in detriment. Some of the keywords here are intense, passionate, mysterious, possessive, and they can even be obsessive or suffocating. So because also Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so that's why it is not super happy in this placement.
I could just see that a lot because Scorpio is very just obsessive in nature. It's I think I'm at the bottom, but I know that I'm not, so I'm going to keep chipping away at what I think is the bottom until that hidden last little layer comes up and I get to search even below that.
When it's a fixed sign, so it's like very fixated. Like I think of a lot of obsessive, like stalker vibes, like, oh well, you don't want me, I'm going to keep my eyes are still set on you, so I'm just going to keep like pining either behind the shadows or like trying to create this whole situation where you will be mine, you know, like some sort of like figuring it out, sleuthing.
100%. I feel like it's very similar to like the Cancer Venus not being able to let go of things. This in a sense of not being able to let go because of the Mars nature to it, because of the possessive nature to it. I feel like Aries is a lot on the retrospect to the other Mars ruled sign. Aries is a lot easier at letting go of things because of its own natural burnout, whereas Scorpio is like the opposite of that.
Yeah,
it will things will never die. You will wrong a Scorpio Venus and they will have you in a burn book until their kids are in graves. Like,
and on the opposite side of that, I have a really good friend who has Scorpio Venus in the first house, and she's very much like, it is really hard for her to release connections even if it's not reciprocated, and there's still love there even after things have ended, just because the love was there once, it's kind of there forever. So.
It doesn't always have to be creepy possessive.
No.
No, it could be like platonically, like, oh, I still have so much care and love for this person despite how things ended, despite how everything went. You're just kind of always stuck in that state of like passion.
And it can be just harmful to yourself because it's like you can't let it go.
But they're such passionate lovers. Yes. Like so passionate in their desires, in their love, and what they want to do for their partner, because they're willing to go to those extreme and drastic lengths. I feel like they view love as a very extreme desire.
Yeah.
Really.
It's like an extreme sport for some of those Scorpio Venuses. Like, damn, it's intense. And they also can have that intuitive nature too, of like feeling like sometimes I feel like a Scorpio Venus can read my mind. And I'm like, that is scary. Also, I have Scorpio in my 8th house, but still.
Yeah. No, but I feel that vibe a lot. I have one of my favorite clients is like a Scorpio stellium, and they have Venus very predominantly in the stellium. And they're like a bartender. They're like, I just fucking love talking to people about their most traumatic events in life. And I was like, you know what? If that's your way of expressing it and that's how you get it out healthily, go for it, my guy. And if that makes you feel good at the end of the day, makes you feel connected with these people. And she knows all of the shit, all of the tea, all of the gross, disgusting, like dirty secrets of everybody in her town. She's like, I love it.
Yeah. They're the investigator, Scorpios. And they're also secretive. So you might not know anything about them.
No, 100%. Yeah. They're really, really, really good at knowing everything about their partners, but sharing nothing about themselves at the same time. It's because most of the time they don't even know themselves to that extent because they've spent so much energy and effort and time on uncovering everything else about everybody else that they don't share that same energy within themselves. Again, another great expression of a personal planet not doing personal things very well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, moving forward to Sagittarius Venus. This is another fiery Venus. And the keywords for this one is optimistic, open-minded, and adventurous. This is another mutable fire sign. And the mutable fire this is another Venus sign that I would associate with like player energy. Not that all Sagittarius Venuses are players, but they are adventurous. They do like stimulation. They do like to seek. And it's again that mutable energy of like going with the flow. Like, oh, there's a hottie over here. There's also a hottie over there. Like, I don't know.
This is like, oh, the grass is greener. Let me go check it out.
Yeah, shooting that arrow. You know,
100%, 100%. I always relate, especially with like people who have Sagittarius in either the 4th house or like their 3rd house. Their like everyday routines have to be changed up, or they're like rearranging their room every once in a while.
Oh my gosh.
Like they're like it's 2 a.m. I need to rearrange everything right the fuck now kind of people. But they do that with their relationships. They're like, I've been in the same relationship for 5 years. There's nothing wrong with the relationship. There's nothing wrong with the person. I can't be in the same relationship anymore. I need to go out. I need to explore. I just need to change things up. It's like that need. So it's not really like they want to be players or that they're always going to be. It's just you get stir crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty close to a Sagittarius Venus, and she is married. And it's so funny that you're saying all this because she is in a committed partnership. And she does get antsy a lot. She also has like a fire, Leo Mars. So like, there's just a lot of like fiery, like combativeness almost too within the dynamic too, of like, just to switch things up, just to like have a little excitement,
just be spicy, just to be spicy and just to make it exciting again.
Yes.
100%.
So fiery. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Sagittarius Venuses also have a lot of like kind of what we were talking about with like just Venus being in the 2nd house or looking at your 2nd house of belief systems. Like you want those to be like in line with your partner. Sagittarius is very much like you have to be a super fan of the same things that I'm a super fan of because I go fucking hard. And if I'm not going to have the most important person in my life present for the most important event of my life, then I don't want it.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so like, oh, I'm super obsessed with like, I don't know, fucking Twilight or something. And it's like, your partner is going to have to be okay with that. In some sort of regard. Like with my moon in Sagittarius, I feel that with astrology. Like I've dated non-astrologers before and I don't think I'm going to do it again. Well, astrology non-believers.
Well, it's also your Venus in your 9th house too
it's something that I'm so passionate about. If you're not going to look at your fucking chart and help me or let me help you with your transits, what the fuck am I doing?
That Virgo's calling out too. Let me help you.
Stop calling me out.
Yeah. But I had one more thing I wanted to say about the Sagittarius Venus, but it's ruled by Jupiter. So that expansive energy as well, like needing that stimulation of like, are you helping me grow? Are you helping me accumulate more information? Am I, growing from this? And that's also why, Jupiter is a lot, like, it's an expansive energy. So maybe a lot of Sagittarius Venuses might want more partners or more experiences within the love realm within the
I get it. Yeah, if it's not multiple partners at the same time, I feel like it's just your black book is a little bit thicker than everybody else's kind of situation.
It could be. Well, and also Venus ruling finances as well. It could also, that could be maybe where it's more expressed. Maybe you are in a monogamous relationship with that Sagittarius Venus, but also maybe you just have a lot of different income streams or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I always forget about the financial part of Venus.
Oh yeah, it's a big part. It's your value.
A very big part of it.
Yeah. So moving forward with Capricorn Venus.
I would like to take a second to redeem myself for like 3 years ago on the internet when Venus was retrograding through Capricorn. I said that Venus could give the potential to make relationships seem cold or distant. That does not mean that every relationship between anybody with a Venus in Capricorn is cold. It just the potential for it because it was a retrograde at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
Some side though, it's a very dedicated and like committed kind of Venus placement. It is very ride or die, very similar to that Leo kind of commitment, but this is like a contractual commitment. It is like, I made a commitment to you and I am just going to stand up to it because I'm a good man.
Well, it is ruled by the planet Saturn, which is about that longevity commitment. This is someone who wants something for the long haul. They're not messing around. This is not the Sagittarius Venus energy. The keywords for this one is dedicated, reserved, and committed. So this is not going to be like that Leo Venus either. That's like, here's my partner, whatever. It's more like, yes, we are married. That's
no, a Venus and Capricorn person is somebody that you've worked with for like 10 years and you just like found out last week that they have a wife and like 6 kids.
Yeah.
That's a Venus in Capricorn's kind of like expressiveness, I guess, to their relationships. And it's not necessarily that they don't love their partner. It's just as any Capricorn or Aquarius, any Saturnian ruled Venus can feel, your relationship and your form of love is not the entirety of your life. It is a part of your life. It is not the entirety of it. And I feel like signs where we lose that kind of energy are like Cancer or even Libra or Gemini, in a sense of like that kind of like obsessive tendencies, or Scorpio, you know, quite literally with the obsessiveness. To where like a relationship is your entire life. Like Venus and Cancer would be a great example of like, I need to nurture this person. I need to mom this person all the time. Now, momming is a full-time job. That is not something that you could do casually. Whereas like a Capricorn and Venus person is like, yeah, go on that business trip for 6 months. See you later.
Yeah, it might also be like someone who really wants to work towards the relationship. Could be provider energy too. Like I am building something to sustain us for the long haul. It's, you know, I think of Capricorn as also like the mountain, you know, climbing the mountain. It's like, okay, we've climbed one mountain. There's going to be another one. Like it's the constant, like love is work. Money is work, and the hard work will pay off. But it takes diligence and
time and energy and effort. So it's like, yeah, that 6 months is nothing in the grand span of we've been together for like what, 5 years or something like that kind of jazz. But it's like we need those 6 months away to grow as individuals so that we can be a better us together. And I feel like the Saturnian Venusian signs have the best grasp of that. Of like, you need to first be the best version of yourself and work on yourself constantly in order to work on your relationship. I mentioned it to one of my coworkers the other day who had a very nasty breakup recently. And it's because they were living together way too soon into their relationship and they had no private space. And I was like, I think it's one of the most important things as like an Aquarius rising here, to have separate rooms from your partner, to not live, you can sleep in the same room 90% of the time, but have your own separate dedicated space to where if you need that 10% of the time to be completely alone, you have it. Otherwise, you are 100% at the disposal of your fucking partner all the time. And that's so draining.
What was the Venus signs of those people?
I don't know. Masons off
fire probably, or air.
I think Hannah's a Sagittarius.
Fire, what'd I say?
Yeah. But that's just because they're a Sag sun with a Scorpio moon. So it's got to be somewhere around there if they're a Sag sun. So it could be Capricorn or Aquarius, but I'm assuming it's probably either Sagittarius or Scorpio, or potentially Libra, because it could be what, 27 degrees away?
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next Saturnian rule, the Venus sign, which is the Aquarius Venus.
Okay, we get player vibes here because of the mad scientist, all right? They like to run little social experiments. They find more about themselves through the relationship than they care about their partner, I feel like.
That could be true.
Not all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel like they just learn a lot of like what their wants and desires are. they like see a relationship as like an opportunity to like find out what they want in a relationship and what they don't want in a relationship, not as like I actually care about this person and see myself building a future with this person. It's like a trial run.
Yeah, it's still a fixed sign. There's still that fixed energy, but also, yeah, that Aquarian energy is that mad scientist, the very unique, like, I'm not going to do this the traditional way. So
I'm going to date everybody in my friend group.
It could definitely
vibes.
be, yes, definitely, especially if it's in that 11th house.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's just the vibes that I get from Aquarius Venuses. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be the person that just kind of like ruins my friend group because I date all of them because I can't separate platonic love with romantic love because like I'm seeing it as a social experiment.
I could totally see that. Another thing about Aquarius Venuses is, oh my gosh,
either cognitively or unconsciously, I should say, because like not always are they cognitively running these social experiments.
Well, I think friendships are really important to the Aquarius Venus. So they're not going to just date anyone. It's like someone who they feel like they vibe with and that they could be like long-term friends with. And also, like, just because they break up doesn't mean they don't want to be friends with you anymore. It seems like they want to continue that connection.
100%.
It's just like, let's see how it goes. It's still a social sign.
Mm-hmm. So. No, 100%. Mm-hmm. I 100% see that. And I agree with your unconventionalness. I feel like a lot of Aquarius Venuses are the ones that are like, let's go skydiving for our first date.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's not go to like coffee or something. Let's do something like completely weird and extreme for our first date kind of love.
I see this in a lot of queer people too. I know a lot of queer people with Aquarius Venus placements, and I obviously love them.
I agree.
Obviously,
I feel like it's just the unconventionality of it, just to be attracted to somebody of the same gender. In today's day and age, in That's Trump's true. America.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. That's a trigger word. Trigger warning.
Apologize.
So the keywords for Aquarius Venus is unconventional, detached, friends, and intellect. Oh, I need to say one more thing about this. Like, the detachment is so real. Like, Aquariuses definitely still have feelings. Like, how I see Aquarius energy is they are just a little more, they can detach from it because they don't really know how to navigate or feel their feelings as deeply as like a water sign maybe. But detachment doesn't mean they don't feel. It's just more like, oh, well, we are friends now. Okay, we're just friends. Oh, like we can like explore this. Then the detachment kind of wavers.
No, it's 100% circumstantial. I see this a lot, actually. I describe this specifically with Gemini and Aquarius moons too, as I say you can intellectualize your emotions, but you can't feel your emotions. They can intellectualize love, but they cannot feel love.
Well, they can, but I don't know. It's
difficult because they're spending too much time intellectualizing all of their feelings. They can't appreciate love when they're feeling it. Let's put it that way.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, and it also depends on other placements. Like if you have an Aquarius Venus, you might have like some Pisces placements, and then you do feel.
I'm so excited to talk about this in like the group because I want specific examples. Yes. I want to be like, oh yes, your Venus is an Aquarius, but it's square your Saturn, and obviously that's going to be a little bit harsher than if it's like in a trine to Saturn, helping it out, or co-present with Saturn, kind of jazz.
Definitely.
Yeah. I actually have seen, because a lot of Saturn returns, some of my clients had Venus co-present, and I always found that even if they were night chart, well, especially if they were night charts, their Saturn return would be mitigated and more constructive like a day charts. And I was like, oh, just because your benefic effect is there? Nice.
That is pretty nice.
But they also said that it was a time for them to be a hoe.
Ooh, all right.
Not one.
Leave us your stories.
Several
if you have Venus interacting with your Saturn return, let us know.
Well, that was what, 2020 to 2023.
So,
Saturn
and Aquarius.
Okay. Yeah. So during your Saturn return, that would have just been recently.
Yeah.
I also know somebody who has Saturn in Pisces conjoined their Venus in Pisces, but we'll get to that here soon.
I'm excited to hear about that because
it's Ryan.
Oh, interesting. We're gonna get more of that. Okay, and the last Venus sign, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, it's the lovely Pisces in Venus, the exaltation, and the keywords for this one is dreamy, unconditional, intuitive, and it transcends the depth of love. That's why it's in its exaltation. There's no bounds. Love is deep and overfilling.
Yeah, so this Saturn conjunct Venus individual, I had a long-standing, this is my like longest relationship that I've ever had. It was on and off again, but it was a polyamorous relationship, And one of the things that he would repeatedly tell me is, I love you so much, but I love so differently than you love. I love everybody so much to equal different. Every experience with every individual was so drastically different in the way that he loved them. And I just it was so cool to like see that, but also I hated it as like a no, because like again, I have Leo in the 7th house. I'm like, you need to show me off, you need to be obsessed with me.
Yeah.
Like if my partner isn't obsessed with me, I don't want it.
So then you're feeling like you're competing with other people because this person loves so deeply everyone.
But I love the way that he loved.
Yeah. It's because it's so deep. That's the person I was telling you about who I'm obsessed with, like literally has Venus in Pisces. And I'm like, also conjunct my Saturn, which is interesting. But yeah, just like such a deep love, but also loves everyone. And it's like, but I want all of that.
As we were discussing with like the fault chips of Venus, too much unboundless love in one situation. Obviously, if you're like in a committed monogamous relationship and you're internally wanting to explore those ideas and ideations, that can lead to a lot of manipulation, a lot of cheating, to cover up what you're doing, because it's not that you don't love the person that you're being unfaithful to, it's just the concept of unfaithfulness is weird, and the concept of commitment is also weird. I'm not saying that you can't commit as a Pisces and Venus, I just don't think that you're really necessarily natally inclined to.
That's interesting.
Like I feel like it's, I mean, I feel the same with Sagittarius in the same regard.
Mutable as well. They're just flowy.
Well, specifically the Jupiterian ruled signs in the mutability, I feel like
they have so much love to give.
Yeah, in different regards, in different ways, and in different aspects. And if you find the person that you want to commit to and you want to settle down with, and that's, you fucking do that. 100% go for it. I just feel like if there was a natal inclination towards polyamory and like the inability to commit to that level, I'd find it with these individuals. Or somebody with a debilitated Saturn in some sort of aspect to their Venus, really weirdly.
Sure. Yeah, that
obviously there's like a bunch of like really weird niche like examples that I could probably pull out of my ass to describe that exact same thing, but
yeah, for sure.
That's my 2 cents at least.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's just because I feel like in society we see love as this propagandized understanding of social social interaction, to be completely honest with you. And I feel like with your Venus and Pisces, you just transcend that quite literally. You just see around all of the bullshit and you're like, that's not what unconditional true love is. And that's just so encapsulating to so many people that they probably find it hard to like not fuck around a little bit, That's
so interesting. The person I'm thinking about is like super not into that kind of thing, but also has commitment issues themselves, but not in a way. It's like they want monogamy, but even committing to that is like hard. Like they just would refuse any type of romantic connection because it's just too intense.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes that could be the thing, is that like,
but that person also has so much Aquarius, so a lot of detachment stuff.
I feel like Pisces Venus is also good at giving into the hyper romanticization of things, though, of creating entire situations or realities in your head about a person before they even happen.
Yeah.
Just because you intuitively feel like a connection with somebody. I see a lot of Pisces Venuses making bigger out of an interaction than is necessary.
That's interesting. Well, and I'm seeing a lot of actually like similarities with that Pisces Venus and the Virgo Venus of like wanting that perfection, wanting that, but it's not attainable because like for Pisces, it's the dream. It's like you can't actually make that possible. Whereas Virgo is like the nitpicking, like reality of the,
well, for sometimes with that Pisces, you like, you want to commit so much, but it's just the thought of commitment in general scares you so much, but you don't really like consciously understand that.
Because it won't appeal to your fantasy. It won't actually achieve that. Oh, so real. But anyway, I'm surprised we talked about all of those so much. I think we should, we'll just wrap it up. I do love this planetary stuff. If you want to end on this, or what do you want to wrap up with?
I can make these last few slides very quick, I promise. Okay, great. So, I think that self-love in astrology is really important, and I think utilizing planetary days is the best way to do that for anybody. If you want to do things for Venus specifically, a Friday is always going to be your best bet.
Because
Venus rules over the day of Friday. I'll go over all the days of the week here in a second. But I feel like when you're focusing on self-love, particularly, you want to focus on your ascendant sign. You want to focus on what sign is the most you in its truest form. And I feel like that is the ascendant, quite literally. So when we take that sign, we're just going to look at the planetary ruler of that and then find the planetary day of the week that corresponds to that. So in this nice little image you'll see here, we've got all of the signs written out by days of the week, but Aries rules Tuesday because Mars rules over Tuesday. So Mars rules both Aries and Scorpio. So both Aries and Scorpio risings will want to focus on self-love on Tuesdays. An extra little step into this is knowing that like Mars is a very active planet. So doing things like working out, doing like jujitsu, like doing some sort of active activity or like yoga. It doesn't have to be like super like physically draining, but doing a kind of activity around that to work on your physical health during those days might be a little bit beneficial for you. And then for Taurus and or Libra risings, like I said, Friday would be the best day to do something for yourself. I know that's definitely a day to like go out and party with your friends, to like go out and do whatever, but it's easier to plan that way, I think, for a reason. Not really, but because the way society works is
it's a social day. Like Venus is like sharing joy with others, so that kind of does make sense. Less of the Taurus side, but I would say Libra.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just doing anything in those regards for yourself on that day.
Maybe pampering yourself, that Taurus like spa energy, or confiding in a good friend for Libra.
100%. Just sharing a drink with a friend and just like
having
a gab night, yeah. And then Gemini and Virgo are going to be Wednesdays because you're mercurial ruled, and Mercury rules over Wednesdays. Mercury's just really good at intellectualizing things, and obviously that's not the best thing to do in love. But when you're self-loving, sometimes it's good to journal, to write down your thoughts, your emotions, where you're at with yourself, how you view yourself. I like to do stream of consciousness writing on Wednesdays, or I'll do like mantra work where I'll repeat a certain mantra over and over again, like verbally and out loud, in order to like manifest things specifically. But Mercury is just always really good for like writing in some sort of way. Or if you don't want to write down and journal, you can always just make yourself a voice memo,
or talk to a friend, you know.
What I do is I've suggested people for self-care things. If you're really avid of like checking your Snapchat memories or like your Instagram story post recaps or whatever, leave yourself a really positive message for next year.
That's so cute.
I've done that multiple times, where you'll just leave your future self a message, and it'll take a full ass year for that memory to pop up in your Snapchat, you know?
Yeah, that's cute.
And then you find it and you're like, oh, this is like a little note to myself, just praising myself. Cool. You know, just do something for yourself in that kind of regard. Write little messages on your mirror for yourself to wake up to the next morning. Just like those kinds of small little things.
Cute.
And then Cancers are going to have Mondays. So if you're Cancer rising, definitely take a nice little bath on a Monday. Again, kind of like Taurus season, you're going to want to nurture yourself. And that could be your physical body, that could be your soul. You could go to therapy on Mondays. I know that you can't really always really schedule those things to the best extent. But maybe just have a gab session with a friend that is your therapy friend on the Monday. Taking a bath is always my biggest recommendation, is like specifically an Epsom salt bath. Like get that salt water in there. Be all lunar. Other things you could
maybe some good food too, like a nurturing meal or anything that will help you feel nurtured. That Cancer Monday energy would be great.
I always say tap into your inner childlike mentality on Mondays too. So one thing that I do is I go to the comic shop not every Monday after work, but like most Mondays after, like if I go to the comic shop, it's going to be on a Monday. And that's just because one, it works out in my schedule really well that way. So you're usually really fucking dead on Mondays and close early. But also just I give in to those childlike mentalities on those days.
Yeah.
And then Leo is going to be just Sunday. So do solar things during those days. You can get your hair done, be very extra Leo-y during those days. Or you could quite literally just focus on, like, walk out in the sun. Just sit in the sunlight. It's like the best way to just vibe your soul.
It's a good one to like also express yourself creatively, maybe even go be seen, like take up space.
Like to join an acting class or put on a performance or something like that. Or just make like a little TikTok video.
Literally make a social media post praising, celebrating yourself.
No, 100%. And that leaves us with Sagittarius and Pisces, which are going to be Thursdays. have a drink with your friends on Thursdays also would be a great way. Well, wine Thursday, wine night.
Escapism Thursdays.
Yes. Just a wine night and a good reality TV show with you and your friends. Just escape into another reality or curl up with a good book. One of my friends, Matt, just made a post about the ACOTAR books. I know those are really popular. Like, just curl up with a good book on a Thursday and just really enjoy escaping reality.
Well, and meditation might be really nice. And also maybe just expanding your mind. Maybe like if you're reading a good book, like maybe you study something, maybe you also like just do something that might expand your mind.
No, reading and like meditation are really good for Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I feel like. Because Saturn days or Saturdays are going to be Saturn ruled. So they're going to be Aquarius or Capricorn risings. Like me, myself, I love meditating on Saturday. Because you know what Saturn loves? Fucking time. Saturn loves time, eats that shit up. If you give Saturn time, if you just think about Saturnian things, a lot of it is honestly spent repeating Prison Song by System of a Down in my head. But you know, to an extent, thinking about like our social constructs, where we're at in the world, what I can do to like be responsible for changing that dynamic as much as I want to see in the world. And I have actually become a part of a couple groups here in Denver for activism specifically that I can't really like talk too much about. But I am really excited to see where that goes and see like how that benefits like my own self, because that's like something that I 100% want to do for the betterment of myself. I just fucking hate society right now, and I'm so sick of looking at it. I need to do something about it. Right. So like as an Aquarius rising, that's what I've been focusing on lately. But Saturn just loves time in general, so taking time to like do something for yourself, even doing things like planetary charity, like finding children of that planet. Like Saturn's a great example. Just people incarcerated, or people who are ostracized from society, like homelessness, people who are marginalized in communities, things like that, to just help them out. So like go service at like a food bank, go hand out socks to homeless people, kind of jazz, can also be like a form of self-care for that planetary energy that day. I think that's pretty much everything in our presentation that we'll be going over. And there is obviously a lot that we still have to, I don't know, get kind of feedback with our group members to kind of feed through this discussion. But that's pretty much key points, main points.
Yeah. So if you would like to leave a comment, if you have any questions, please feel free to do that. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, we have an Instagram at mercastropod. You're welcome to reach out to us there. You can also email us if you have questions or requests at mercastropod@gmail.com. And you can also reach Rosalie and book a reading with Rosalie
at astrorosalie.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram. I have reinstalled the app now. At Astro Rosalie, or you can hit up Bren
at my Linktree /Bren Biggs or my Instagram. And all of these are going to be linked in the show notes. We also do some events here and there. So definitely check out our pages. If you want to learn more about, if you're in the Denver area and you want to attend one of our events, please do. The next podcast is going to be about
the astrology of retrogrades, which I just realized was next month, because you told me that slightly earlier than this, and I had to really quickly remember that.
Yeah, you did great. Good job. And it's so many retrogrades going on. So
yeah, we'll have Venus retrograde. Mars retrograde will have finished up, but we'll still be in the shadow period. And then we'll get a Venus retrograde in Aries at the same time that Mercury is retrograde in Aries. And then Saturn's going to dip into Aries and then immediately retrograde. So like it's a fun time of retrogrades. So we're gonna just break down what a retrograde is, how to handle it, and what a retrograde means in each of the signs, I guess. Well, in each of the for each of the planets, I feel like, is
and how you might experience that too. Retrograde's like an internal energy. A lot of people are scared of retrogrades, but you really can use these energies to your benefit. It's just about reviewing and making sure that you're on the right path to go in the direction that you desire.
100%. And all of these retrogrades are all cyclical. So like the Venus retrograde in Aries, we had this 8 years ago. We'll talk about that though.
Yeah.
With that, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you all next time. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or death threats, feel free to leave them below in the meantime.
Thank you.
Bye.